Augusta Onuwabuagbe Osedion was just 21 years old, full of dreams and loved by everyone who knew her. She was a model and a rising star on social media, showing off her beauty and confidence for the world to see. But behind the smiles and the perfect pictures, there was a story no one saw coming. Augusta was in love, but her love story turned into a nightmare. What started as a fairy tale ended in the most tragic way. Her boyfriend, Benjamin Best Nanyareugo, also known as Killboy, was an Instagram influencer too. People admired him for his flashy lifestyle, but no one could have guessed the darkness that hid beneath his charm. One day, everything changed. Augusta went to visit Benjamin at his home, and she never came out alive. What happened behind those doors? Why did her life end so suddenly? This is the story of Augusta Osedion, a story of love, betrayal, and a search for justice that shook an entire nation. Augusta was the kind of girl you couldn't forget. She grew up in a loving home where her family always supported her dreams. Her parents believed in her, and her friends said she was kind and full of life. As a model, Augusta's beauty wasn't just on the outside, it was in the way she treated people. She wanted to inspire young girls to be confident and chase their dreams, no matter what anyone said. Her social media was filled with pictures of her smiling, traveling, and living her life to the fullest.
In short, she was on first class, which she promised me, "Mommy, I will give you first class. I wear my NYC clothes to come and greet you in your school. I want to pay for every sacrifice you have made for us." It didn't come to pass. When they started dating December.
But Augusta had a soft heart. She fell in love with Benjamin, the man everyone called Killboy. He was popular online, always showing off his fancy clothes, cars, and lifestyle. To many, he seemed like the perfect boyfriend, handsome, successful, and confident. But love can be blind, and no one could see what was really happening behind the scenes. Friends of Augusta said there were warning signs. Sometimes she looked sad in her photos even when she was smiling. Some people noticed she didn't talk about Benjamin much, even though they were together. But no one thought much of it. After all, they looked happy in the few pictures they shared. Benjamin wasn't just any influencer. He was known for being bold and flashy. He had thousands of followers who admired his confidence and lifestyle. To the world, he seemed like a man who had everything: money, fame, and a beautiful girlfriend like Augusta. But behind the Instagram posts and designer clothes, Benjamin had a dark side. Some people said he could be controlling and jealous. He liked being the center of attention, and he didn't want anyone to outshine him, not even Augusta.
First, 2021, she told me, "Mommy, I'm into a relationship." Despite many people that asked her out, she didn't accept. Said, "There's somebody I love." I said, "Okay, bring to the house." He brought Benjamin to the house. Ask him questions: what he do, what he does, his line of business. He opened. When he's discussing with you, he will actually give you evidences of what is into, making you believe those are the things he was into.
Their relationship wasn't what it seemed. While people on the outside saw a power couple, Augusta's close friends started to worry. They said she seemed distant sometimes, like she was hiding something. Benjamin wasn't the loving boyfriend he pretended to be. He had a temper, and Augusta often tried to keep things calm to avoid arguments. Still, Augusta loved him. She believed he would change. She believed in their love even when it started to hurt her. But one day, everything fell apart. It was a quiet day at Oral Estate, a gated community in Aja, Lagos. The sun was high in the sky, casting its bright light over the beautiful homes in the area. Nanyareugo's apartment stood out, a well-decorated space where he often showed off his wealth on social media. But inside those walls, something terrible was about to happen. On that day, Augusta went to visit her boyfriend, just like she had done many times before. She trusted him, despite the arguments they sometimes had. Neighbors said the estate was calm, with no sign of trouble. No one could have guessed the horror that was about to unfold. What happened next remains unclear, but reports suggest that an argument broke out between Augusta and Benjamin. Voices were raised and tempers flared. In a moment of rage, Benjamin allegedly attacked her. The details of what happened are chilling. It was later reported that Augusta's body was found with signs of violence, a tragic end to her young life. Her final moments are heartbreaking to imagine. A young woman who had so much ahead of her now gone in an instant. The apartment, once a place of love and laughter, became a crime scene filled with silence and sorrow. When the crime was discovered, it sent shockwaves through the estate. People couldn't believe what had happened. Neighbors spoke about how they didn't hear much noise, only to later find out that such a terrible thing had occurred so close to their homes. After the murder, Benjamin didn't wait. Instead of calling for help or explaining what had happened, he fled. He left the estate in a hurry, disappearing into the streets of Lagos. His sudden escape made it clear that he knew what he had done. Days later, Augusta's lifeless body was discovered in his home. The news spread quickly and the shock turned into anger. How could someone who claimed to love her do something so cruel? Police were called, and the investigation began. The discovery of Augusta's death shattered her family and friends. Her parents were heartbroken, unable to believe that their daughter was gone. Friends who had spoken to her just days before were left in tears, wondering if they could have done something to help her. Benjamin, now a fugitive, became the focus of a manhunt. Authorities promised to find him and bring him to justice, but his escape left many questions unanswered. Why did he do it? What made him so angry that he took her life? The once peaceful estate was now a place of sadness and fear, as the story of Augusta's death became the talk of Lagos. When the news of Augusta's tragic death broke, it felt like the entire nation stopped. Headlines carried her picture, showing a young woman whose life had been cut short in such a horrifying way. People couldn't believe that someone so full of life, beauty, and promise had met such a tragic end. The media quickly picked up the story, with every outlet sharing details of the crime. Augusta's story dominated conversations in homes, workplaces, and on social media. Her family, especially her mother, Cordelia Okonye, was devastated. She described Augusta as a bright light in their lives, someone who had dreams and was determined to make something of herself. But now that light was gone, and the family was left grappling with a pain that words couldn't express. Cordelia made emotional public statements, calling for justice for her daughter and urging authorities to do everything in their power to capture Benjamin. The police wasted no time, assuring the public that they were on the hunt for the fugitive. They promised to bring him to justice, but as days passed, the pressure mounted. People were growing impatient, and the demand for action grew louder. Benjamin Killboy Nanyarogo, knowing the gravity of his crime, wasted no time in fleeing the scene. After allegedly taking Augusta's life, he disappeared, leaving behind unanswered questions and a grieving family. He wasn't just hiding in Lagos. He left the country entirely. Reports later revealed that Benjamin had used a fake identity to escape. He obtained a Sierra Leonean passport under the name Kanu Princeton to aid his getaway. Sources suggested he paid a significant sum to create this false identity, making it harder for authorities to track him down. His sudden disappearance and calculated escape showed a level of planning that shocked many. Back in Nigeria, the police were working tirelessly, coordinating with international authorities to locate Benjamin. The news of his possible whereabouts in Sierra Leone made waves, and efforts were ramped up to extradite him. Law enforcement faced challenges, but they were determined to see justice served. While the authorities worked on their leads, the public played a major role in keeping the case alive. Social media platforms became the battleground for justice. People shared posts about Augusta's life, the crime, and the ongoing manhunt. Hashtags demanding justice trended, with thousands of users sharing their anger and heartbreak over what had happened. Augusta's mother, Cordelia, also took a bold step. She worked tirelessly to raise awareness about the case, even collaborating with individuals and groups to ensure Benjamin's actions would not be forgotten. Her strength in the face of tragedy inspired many, and her determination became a rallying point for justice. In a significant breakthrough, Benjamin was apprehended in Freetown, Sierra Leone. Reports indicate that he had adopted the alias Kanu Princeton Samuel and had allegedly spent over $25,000 to acquire a Sierra Leonean passport under this false identity. His arrest occurred at a nightclub in Freetown, where local authorities, acting on intelligence, detained him. Following his arrest, the Lagos State Police Public Relations Officer Benjamin Hundeyin announced that the process to extradite Benjamin back to Nigeria had commenced. Extradition between countries involves legal procedures to ensure that the suspect faces charges in the jurisdiction where the crime was committed. However, as of January 2025, there has been limited public information regarding the progress of the extradition. Both the Nigeria Police Force and the Sierra Leone Police have refrained from releasing specific details, but the expectation is that Benjamin will soon be transferred to Nigeria to face justice. The cooperation between the law enforcement agencies of both countries was essential in ensuring that he couldn't evade arrest. Given the nature of his crime, the authorities are determined to bring him back to Nigeria to stand trial. Upon his return to Nigeria, Nanyarugo will face serious legal consequences. Although official charges were yet to be filed as of early 2025, he is expected to be charged with murder, as well as other crimes related to his fraudulent escape, such as identity theft and fraud. His actions not only took a life but also involved a calculated escape, making the legal case even more complex. The legal proceedings are expected to draw significant attention, as this case has become a symbol of how domestic violence and femicide are being addressed in Nigeria. The government, law enforcement, and public have all expressed a deep commitment to seeing the case through to the end. As for Augusta's family, they are determined to see justice for their daughter. Her mother, Cordelia Okonye, has been vocal in her calls for accountability. In statements made after Benjamin's arrest, Cordelia shared her pain, but also expressed her gratitude for the public's involvement in the efforts of the police in capturing him. She emphasized that this case was about more than just her daughter. It was about sending a message to those who commit violence against women. While the legal proceedings will unfold in the courts, the emotional toll on Augusta's family remains profound. They continue to grieve, but their fight for justice remains steadfast. For them, Benjamin's capture is only the beginning of a long journey towards healing, both personally and for the larger cause of combating violence against women in the country. The tragic death of Augusta Osedion sheds light on the widespread and often hidden issue of domestic violence. Domestic violence is not just about physical harm. It can take many forms, such as emotional, psychological, and financial abuse. The signs of such abuse are often hard to spot, especially when the abuser manipulates the situation to maintain control. Experts emphasize that recognizing the warning signs early can save lives. Behaviors like extreme jealousy, isolating someone from their friends and family, or using threats to control actions are all indicators that a relationship may be unhealthy. When physical violence is introduced, it is often a sign that things have gone too far, and immediate action should be taken. Domestic violence isn't always visible on the outside, which makes it harder for outsiders to understand the true dynamics of a relationship. Many people use social media to project an image of a perfect, happy life, which often hides the struggles they're going through behind closed doors. Victims of abuse may feel pressure to maintain these illusions for fear of being judged or not believed. Social media, however, also has a powerful role in raising awareness about domestic violence. The stories of survivors and activists using platforms to share their experiences have led to a wider discussion, opening the eyes of many to the dangers that lie behind the facade of perfection. While it can be a double-edged sword, with abusers using it to control or manipulate their victims, social media has become a valuable tool in the fight against domestic violence. It has sparked necessary conversations, challenged outdated stereotypes, and encouraged more people to stand up against abuse. Advocates and organizations working to prevent domestic violence have taken significant steps to address these issues head-on. They are focused on educating people to recognize the signs of abuse and empowering victims to seek help. Shelters, hotlines, and counseling services are available to provide immediate support for those in danger. These organizations also push for stronger legal protections and raise public awareness through campaigns that challenge harmful stereotypes and offer solutions to break the cycle of abuse. While the case of Augusta Osedion brings attention to the urgent need for action, it also serves as a reminder that much work remains to be done. The bravery of those who speak out, like Augusta's family, is vital in ensuring that no one else suffers the same fate. Her death has sparked a larger conversation about the importance of protecting victims and providing them with the support they need to escape dangerous situations. In the wake of Augusta's tragic death, her family and friends have worked hard to honor her memory. They have used her story to fuel their advocacy for domestic violence awareness, hoping that her loss will not be in vain. Tributes to Augusta have poured in, with community events and memorials dedicated to remembering her and raising awareness about the dangers of toxic relationships. These public displays not only celebrate her life, but also remind us of the importance of preventing similar tragedies. Looking back, there are valuable lessons to be learned from Augusta's story. Recognizing red flags in relationships and seeking help when necessary can make all the difference. Law enforcement, social services, and communities must do their part to support those at risk and prevent such crimes from happening in the future. It's essential that we continue to push for stronger policies and more effective systems that can detect and respond to domestic violence early on. In the face of such darkness, we must ask ourselves, how do we ensure that no one else suffers the same fate as Augusta? It is through awareness, education, and support that we can hope to answer that question. Only by coming together can we create a world where people are no longer forced to suffer in silence, and where justice is served for victims like Augusta.